87 prisoners released by mistake last year as violence and self-harm rose in overcrowded prisons. I'm going to read into this piece from Sky News, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Sky News with the headline that 87 prisoners were released by mistake last year as violence and self-harm rose in overcrowded prisons. England and Wales prisons are suffering from overcrowding, with staff and other prisoners being assaulted and safety ratings plunging. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So we know that we have been aware for some time, obviously, the overcrowding of prisons, not in particular here in England and Wales. We know that the Conservative government not only have not built enough prisons, but actually applied more tougher crime and laws to basically inject more people to basically be thrown in prison as a result of some of their actions and crimes. Some of those crimes, I think, are completely unnecessary to be warranted for time in prison, but that is what the government have done. Not thinking whatsoever about the fact that the prisons may be getting a bit stretched, and that's exactly what's happened here. But not only that, here, obviously, you can see from the headline there, 87 prisoners were released by mistake last year. How does that happen? Who is responsible for that? Who should take responsibility and ownership for that? Well, unfortunately, if the answer is the former prisons minister for the Conservatives, then that's not going to happen. If you're going to answer is going to be seen in the form of Conservative government, that's not going to happen. The situation is, it is what it is now. Safety ratings plunging. Again, this does not surprise me. We know this. We know that the difficulties that are in place. And self-harm, obviously something that's not nice to talk about in any way, shape or form. But I do feel that this is something that we need to keep an eye on, and hopefully, guys, hopefully that a Labour government will get a grip on this. So a record number of prisoners were released in error last year as violence and self-harm rose in increasingly overcrowded prisons, new statistics have revealed. In the 12 months to March 2024, 87 prisoners were released by mistake, and 23% more in England and Wales than the previous year, making it the highest number ever recorded according to the Ministry of Justice figures. Prisoners are released in error in a number of ways, including misplaced warrants for imprisonment or reprimand, recall notices not acted upon, sentences miscalculation, or discharging the wrong person on escort. 70 of the 87 released by mistake were errors made by prisons, while 17 were released in errors by courts. The newly released statistics also reveal an increase in the number of prison escapes, with 12 people escaping in the year to March 2024. 12 people escaped from prisons. One prisoner remained at large 30 days after escaping. The escape of former soldier Daniel Khalife, awaiting trial on terrorism charges from Wandsworth Prison under a food delivery lorry, captured the attention to the nation last September as police asked for the public to help find him. The year before, 8 prisoners escaped, but none were at large for 30 days or more. There was a 2% increase in the prison population this year, with 87,726 people in prison on the 30th of July 2024. That was about 4,700 higher than pre-pandemic levels. Overcrowding in prisons also increased for the third year in a row, with 23.6% of prisoners held in crowded accommodation compared with 22.9% in the previous 12-month period. In overcrowding prisons, 99.7% of prisoners, 20,470, were held in double cells. This can be quite bad for people when people are forced to share prisons, especially for those who maybe have a bit of mental health issues and whatnot. You know, when you don't have your own space, that can be detrimental to certain people. Government has approved legislation to release some prisoners, but not the most serious offenders, from prisons on licence after serving 40% of their sentence, instead of carrying 50% to alleviate overcrowding. The number of assaults in prisons has increased by nearly 30%, with 28,292 violent assaults in a year. 28,000. And that's, by the way, that's only what's recorded. because there are some cases where some assaults take place and they're not always found and recorded as well. There is an increase in prisons given the lowest serious concern rating from 9 the year before to 15 up until March. Total number of 123 prisoners in England and Wales. 13 prisons were the same as last year, were rated outstanding, while 35 were of concern, the second lowest, and 56 ratings were good. So we have 13 outstanding prisons, which is a good sign, but still, yeah, 56 were rated good. 35 concerned. That is obviously a concern. The Justice Secretary Shabina Mahmood Casey said our prisons are in crisis leading to epidemic violence and harm behind bars. These statistics reveal what is really happening inside jail cells today and why we have no choice but to act. This government will always protect the public, lock up dangerous offenders and make prisons safe for prisoners and the brave staff who work there. The failure of drugs, mobile phones and weapons increase in prisons and alcohol decrease. They were 21,145 drugs fined. That's a 44% increase. 10,669 mobile phones seizes. That's 35% increase. 11,641 weapon discoveries. That's a 24% increase. And then 9,136 alcohol fines. That's a 4% decrease. The self-harm incidents in prisons hit a record of 73,804, a rate of one prisoner hurting themselves every 7 minutes. Female prisoners were the worst for self-harm incidents with 66.7%. That's 8 attending the worst or second worst rating in that category. They were also the poorest performing prisons for assaults on staff with 79%. That's 9 failing to meet their target. All reception prisons failed to meet their prisoner-on-prisoner assault targets. That's pretty brutal. So just some numbers and statistics there, really, guys, to look to dive into. Obviously, the significance of them is obviously huge. The increase in weapons, in mobile phones, and drugs, is problematic indeed. Obviously, prisons are supposed to be a place of facing your crimes and paying for your crimes and being locked up for your crimes. But there is also that part that I've talked about before about prisons, about how important the rehabilitation is, the probation needs, and how that important it is that when their time is up, that they come out a different person. That really is a fundamental problem, because this system will never work unless you have rehabilitation applied to prisoners. It really, really is fundamentally important. But the health and well-being of prisoners also do matter too. I know everybody's going to kick and scream in the comments about the cost of living crisis, the homelessness of our own people suffering. Yes, of course, all that needs to be addressed, and I'm not pulling myself away for that. But we're talking about specifically about prisoners here, whether they are British or not British. They are still people. They are still human beings. Yes, they are in prison for the crimes that they have been found guilty of. We obviously do have cases where some people are found guilty when they're actually innocent as well, and the opposite effect as well. It can happen as well, but I do think rehabilitation really does matter, and I do think that we should look at ensuring that they are healthy, they are looked after, but they are also given things that they need, the things that they need to ensure that they pass that time as well. But obviously, those who are more violent, those who are more brutal, those who inflict self-harm, they need extra care, extra watching over. And obviously, the solitary confinement is obviously what's needed when there's some that go too far. There are lots of challenges dealt with the prisons. And I do think, yeah, that there will be a lot of work in the days, in the months, and in the years ahead for this Labour government. But guys, what do you guys make of the 87 prisoners released by mistake last year? What do you guys make of the handling of the Conservatives under the prison system, in particular in England and Wales? Let me know your thoughts on more about these numbers and statistics as well in the comment section down below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it, and share this across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you could do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.